Billy here. I'm in a hotel room in Moscow right now. I was invited to a lovely little conference discussion of on the information war, kind of a brainstorming session. It was, I don't know how that happened. One of my good friends invited me there and got me in as a speaker, and yeah, it was pretty nice. I guess there were roughly 30 or so of us around a table, and there were government officials, there were filmmakers, there were people running internet sites, there were journalists, there's all kinds of people there that are fighting the information war and bringing the truth to you, the consumer, the media consumer that are interested in truth. This was the day. This was yesterday. I wasn't really aware exactly what I was going to, and nobody. Russians have a hard time with information, disseminating information. I've always had that problem here. It's like they won't tell you what's going on. It's almost like they expect you to be psychic and figure it all out for yourself. I had no idea. I just knew I was going to a meeting and to dress nice. I shaved. That was yesterday. I didn't shave today because I'm not doing anything today. There's supposed to be some interviews, but those got postponed. Got a nice suit. I came here. I showed up. They didn't tell me where I'm going. They never gave me an address. So it was like the last minute I'm doing everything, but it was relaxed. It was good when I got there. And I met all these great people, fantastic people that are out there doing what needs to be done. And we got to talk a little bit and brainstorm. And I got some ideas and I got some more focus on what I really need to be doing. Because as you've noticed, I'm kind of unfocused. I get off on rabbit trails and stuff, but I'm not going to do that anymore. Oh, hey, look at the room here. Isn't this great? Yeah, this is a tiny little attic room. It's got one window in the roof, but it's brilliant. This is a nice hotel. And if you come here on your own ticket, it's like, without anybody helping arrange things for you, it'll cost you about 50 simolas a night. It's not bad. And it's right near the Kremlin. It's right downtown. Nice neighborhood. It's called Neapolitan, but it's in Russian. Napol? I think it's Napol. I'm probably not pronouncing it right. But it's a nice place. Anyway, oh gee, I got off on a rabbit trail again, didn't I? I said I wasn't going to do that. Sorry. I've been spending most of the day cleaning up my files and trying to organize and prioritize things. And I know what I need to do. But I just can't help myself. I was looking at the internets and I'm seeing all these. They're really throwing things into my feed about the Ukrainians and the Russian aggression and all that stuff. And I've got two targets. There's two people. I just got to go after them. There's this plucky little Ukrainian girl that's telling you the truth about what's happening. And you look at her channel and it's called like Ukrainian Brides. It's one of these mail order bride outfits. I guess they got one of their secretaries, and I don't know who's funding this and who's behind it, but she stepped over the line with the last one. Before it was kind of benign. It was kind of open but still regurgitating NATO talking points about Russian aggression and those plucky little Ukrainians that just want to be free, while NATO and the EU and the US are looting their country and destroying it right now. Oh, okay, fair enough. But her latest she came out with, she's talking about the history of Russia and Ukraine and how Ukrainians are real European Slavs, while Russians are barbarian hordes and Huns and Tartars that are uncultured and uncivilized cave people that stole Ukraine's culture and history. This is Nazi propaganda. This is what Tannybuk and the Pravi sector and all those guys teach. It's what they're teaching Ukrainian children in some of the schools, too. There's not one shred of evidence for any of this. This is just a continuation of the instilling hate and racism against Russians and Ukrainians. But there's really not any genetic difference between them. And the linguistics difference could be described as a real strong dialect, really. It's not as different as Mississippian is from Brooklynese. They got their own alphabet, but the Germans gave that to them to make sure and lock it into, a new nation and a new culture with their own alphabet and their own literature. They spent a lot of money. Kaiser Wilhelm wrote a book about what he was doing. You have to wrestle control of Ukraine and get it away from Russia to use it against Russia in order to take Russia. Kaiser Wilhelm, the Imperial Germans. They didn't start it either. They were just continuing a policy that the Catholic Church started under Pope Innocent X when they created the Unite Church, which is a fake Orthodox church that's under the control of the Pope. I can go on and on. Real history, the real documents. You have documentation about what actually happened that comes from Sunni and Shia, the Ottoman Empire, the British Empire, the Catholic Church, the Poles, and the Russians, the Bolsheviks. Everybody wrote down their histories of stuff, and you could get them all together, and they agree on certain things, and there are certain documents, and none of them say that the Kievan Rus go back with one continuous civilization from then to now, and that the people to the east were barbarians and somehow stole their culture from. How do you steal a culture? How do you steal technology? These things, it's not a sum-zero game. Somebody can imitate your culture and imitate your technology. It doesn't dominionize what you have. It doesn't take what you have away. These are little just so stories for children and people who are kind of stupid and can't think. It's a cartoonish view of the world. It's the Nazi view of the world. They stole our culture. We was the real original civilizations and they took it from us. They're really cavemen. I mean, she's saying this stuff. She's got, I'm not going to put a link to her freaking video, but I'm going to go through and analyze it. The Ukrainian bride company girl. And then there's this other guy, an Irishman, that's doing this kind of stuff. He's shilling for NATO talking points. And you go to his webpage, and he's got all kinds of things trying to get investors in. And also, he's got the Ukrainian bride angle and stuff. He's been there a long time. And he's regurgitating all these things. He's not doing the Nazi stuff. He's got too much sense for that. He's a businessman. But he's still throwing the Ukrainian people under the bus, really, when you're shilling for NATO. You're continuing the narrative. This is based on lies, obvious, bald-faced lies, to keep Ukrainians obedient and servile to the Western narrative, to the NATO and European EU, to the US, in hopes that they can get Schweigen visas and they can be part of NATO and then they can be like regular Europeans. It's a false hope. They aren't going to let you in. They just barely let you go to Poland to scrub toilets, and that's the best you're ever going to do. They're not going to put you in NATO. If they do, it's not going to be very good for you, because you'll be the frontline cannon fodder for what they really want to do. They want to destroy Russia. I mean, it's obvious. It's their stated goal. They consider Russia an enemy. Why? Because of what Russia did? No, because Russia is competition and free resources. That's how NATO rolls. Colonizers. You're a colony. You're a puppet now. Everybody threw you under the bus. I'm talking to Ukrainians here. And until you stand up to them, you're going to have a hard time. What'd they do? They reduced the pensions. They drastically screwed down your pensions. They took the equipment out of your aircraft industry and all your other industries and cut them up for scrap so you can't use them anymore, so you can't manufacture. They're clear cutting the Carpathian forest and sending them off to Germany to make cheap plywood. You know, they bribed all your officials, give them a few $1,000 to sit in their pockets, and they sign all this stuff off. But the Russians are your enemies. Moscow's on knives. Jump up and down all Maidan. Jumping, jumping, jumping. Moscow's on knives. The Russians built, well, actually the Soviet Union, who you hate so much, they built those ski resorts there, and you could go to them. Nobody kept you out. They built those aircraft industries. They built the industries that you had. And now your new friends are destroying them and hauling them off and screwing off down your pensions and raising your electricity bills and putting you on austerity. You like being slaves? You like being slaves? That's what your new friends are doing to you. And all these people with these talking points and these narratives, oh, they're getting a few shekels. They're getting a little money. Yeah, with your Ukrainian brides, yeah, you can sell your women off to the West, you know, real cheaply, and they can abuse them. That'd be a pretty good resource. They really want that too, just like they did in Thailand. You want Thailand? That'll be nice. When your daughters are not. Do you want massage? Do you want massage? I make you massage long time. I give you massage now, you stingy. It's a culture that's insulated by the U.S. military-industrial complex, and I mean, it sounds like a conspiracy theory, but I'm watching it happen right here before my very eyes. All you guys that are shilling for them. I hope the Ukrainian people get their head right and grow a pair and stand up to the Nazis and stand up for what's true and right and put a stop to all this stuff. And all you shills will get yours, hopefully. I wouldn't want to be you if that happens, because they're going to be pissed. They should be. But reasonable people don't take unreasonable actions. They're usually very forgiving. Christians are very forgiving because God's forgiving. God has an amnesty program. No matter how bad you are, you can switch sides if you genuinely repent of it and stop. Why not? Just saying. Anyway, I'm going to take apart some of these videos. I'm not up to it right now because I'm watching this stuff and I'm reading this stuff and I'm looking at all this other things. I see all the things going on. Sometimes it gets to me. Yeah. You stare into the freaking pit long enough, the pit stares back. It doesn't bother me. I'm not frightened of anything in there. I don't have any fear of that pit. It's kind of depressing though, because it's so complex and they're burning so much energy, and there's so many games and layers upon layers upon layers upon layers of lies. It's all going to come undone. I enjoy fighting it, I really do, but sometimes one gets rather tired of it. Need to take a little break. Anyway, this little short video that I'm doing to indicate the direction I'm taking. I think I need to write another book, but hardly anybody bought my last one, but I think it's necessary to show a vision, to show the filmmakers, the Italian filmmakers, and I were discussing this last night. You can't just be I'm anti-NATO, I'm anti-New World Order, I'm anti-Great Reset, I'm anti-Klaus Schwab, I'm anti-this and I'm anti-that, and I'm anti-everything, I'm anti-this. And you can be anti all you want. It doesn't attract people. As a matter of fact, it turns them off. They go back to their freaking Netflix and, slurping a beer and watching sports and Netflix and stuff and just pissing their life away because they don't want to hear all that negative stuff. They'd rather be involved in fantasies. But if you could show something beautiful, what life could be like without all this shit, without these globalist oligarchs and these liars and they can be brought to bear. Most people give it up. That's the way the world's always been, and it's always going to be that way. It's not true. It's not the way it's always been, or we wouldn't be as advanced as we are. Wouldn't have advanced one step. There have been periods of freedom and arts flourished The middle class grew. People had families and lived nice lives. Very recently, we had that in a lot of places. We had it in America. Well, they had it in the Soviet Union. A lot of you Americans don't believe it, but you don't know anybody from there except dissidents that came over and are debriefed by the CIA and told how to act and what to say, and make sure they have their needs taken care of if they toe the line. And a lot of the dissidents are criminals. They left for a very good reason. They stole from people. A lot of your oligarchs in London and New York that are getting to tell what Russia's like now, well, they came over here because they stole from people. Some of them even murdered people. Yeah, that's your dissidents that fled the evil Russian Empire. Anyway, there I go on rabbit trails again. I was talking about a book. I need to write a book. Maybe compare and contrast. What do you think? The city on a hill, the New Jerusalem, the community-based, self-sufficient, sustainable, locally controlled government that is held accountable by the people, and the people own the resources in the land that they live on. And there's no reason to move. I mean, you could build something like that. With the technology today, you can live at the same level of comfort that you do here. You don't have to be a caveman to be organic and sustainable. And this technology that's used against us to track us and trace us and monitor us, that needs to be pointed at the people that have political power and police power and financial power, not at the people that are working. And it can be done. I wrote a freaking book about it a long time ago. It's called Unified Separatism, in case you want to buy it. Sold like 12 copies in 7 years. That's a bad title, but you can Google it and go right to it. And it's political theory. I need to do something more artsy. I can do something artsy, really can. I'm an artist, believe it or not, in a very twisted sort of way. But I could write a book and have something really beautiful that people can aspire to, something that they could grab onto and say, yeah, I want that, I want to do that, I'm going to organize my community. That's what we need. And maybe compare and contrast. Maybe it could be 2 books like Blake did, Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience, or Tale of Two Cities. I'm not going to go Dickens though. Maybe you could take what Klaus Schwab and all these other globalists say, and I've read a lot of globalist literature, and I've listened to their freaking TED Talks. I know what kind of technology they got and what they're thinking and what they plan on doing with it. They tell us. And I've said many times that the life in their world, what they want to bring about, is going to be horrifying. You're going to be nothing more than servos. They're going to decide everything in every minute of your life. Smart cities, they call it. Well, let's compare a smart city with an organic, locally controlled haven for regular people just to live their lives and eat good, nutritious food, happy food, vegetables grown in really real soil and not chemicals. Chickens that aren't laced with hormones and have nice free-range lives, just like things were 100 years ago. But you don't have to live like you lived 100 years ago or like your great-grandparents lived. Actually, I wouldn't mind that at all. But you can have some moderate conveniences. They just won't be centralized. Look at how the Amish do. Well, a lot of people misunderstand the Amish. My dad was raised by an Amish man. He wasn't a practicing Amish. He practiced a lot of the aspects of the religion, but he didn't go to the meetings, and he didn't live in an Amish community. But I know a lot about them, and their thing is that they don't have a problem with technology. They don't think God doesn't like electricity. That's stupid. That's what people that are ignorant believe about them. No Amish people that I've ever seen thought like that. The Amish don't want to be subjected to systems they have no control over. They don't like to be dependent upon things that other people, warmongering people, people who are usurious, people who are billionaire oligarchs control. And they try to stay away from that stuff. They're not opposed to technology. They're opposed to technology that they don't have any control over. They are opposed to becoming dependent upon systems that can manipulate them. Pretty smart, if you ask me. And they live pretty good. But it's possible to have locally made and locally controlled craftsmen made stuff. Small, decentralized manufacturing. Everybody could have jobs. You can have quality items and not this cheap crap that you get everywhere. Anyway, I'm going to let that cook, and I'm going to start taking notes and drawing outlines and coming up with a form. I need to get cracking and write something. And I'm going to continue to make videos, don't worry. I'm going to try to make them every day. And I know I promised one about dogs and another character sketch. Oh, and the referendum. I'm going to do a brief one detailing the details of the referendum so that you understand what happened, because some people asked about that. Anyway, just some thoughts. It's what I aim to do, and I usually don't tell people what I aim to do unless I feel bound to do it if I said it, and well, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Anyway, I'll get to the aforementioned videos, and I just have to take some Pepto-Bismol or something and steel myself and dive into some of these ass clowns' Nazi videos and shill videos and take them apart. I get a little hot on stuff like that, and it'll be a rant. But I've noticed some people enjoy my rants. Some people think they're funny, over the top, crazy stuff. But okay, I don't want to spoil that by telling you I'm freaking serious. But I'm freaking serious. I got a lot of stuff to do. I'm gonna get cracking on it. Anyway, that's it for this one. Uncle Billy, signing out.